Hi, everyone. So, we are at the first podcast of the Exchange with a capital X. The X stands for the contradicting view on the same way how we approach businesses, how we approach life, how we approach different aspects. The Exchange is hosted by KredX, and thanks to our KredX team for hosting this. Myself is Manish. I'm founder and CEO of KredX, and I have with me two of the finest gentlemen, Srikanth, who runs HomeLane. HomeLane is basically which does a lot of your interior decoration stuff, and I have also with me Vivek, who runs Urban Ladder. Urban Ladder is now part of the Reliance Group, and that's where the contradictory view will come up. Thanks, gentlemen. Thanks for coming here, and welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Manish. Thanks.
Happy to be here.
So I was just talking to Vivek, and apparently me and Vivek lives sort of across the road, and we came like 1 hour traveling to beating the Bangalore traffic for the podcast. So thanks Vivek, and thanks Shrikant for coming here. So question, gentlemen, you both have sort of a startup world. Urban Ladder, HomeLane, both are a startup, but took completely two different approach, right? HomeLane remain promoter driven, still promoters owns most of the shares, while Urban Ladder has been acquired by Reliance. So want to understand, how and you, Srikanth, has worked in previously in other startups. Also, you are a serial entrepreneur. You, Vivek, has also worked in different companies in Amantes and Callaway. So, how is if you guys can give me some kind of a view in terms of, because a lot of youngster keeps on coming and saying I want to do a startups, but at the same time life is pretty beautiful even at the not doing a startup. My wife loves her 9 to 5 job, so what's there's nothing wrong with it. So just wanted to understand from you two gentlemen.
So with your permission,
Yeah,
I'll go
please go
first.
ahead.
Okay. So I will be a little biased, I must admit, because I've been an entrepreneur now for about 33 years.
Wow.
This is my fourth startup. I started my first one when it was not called startup; it was just called a business, and there was no venture capital funding. By the way, at HomeLane, just to put facts there, it's a majority owned by investors even now, even though obviously it's still operator run, which is that me and my co-founder and the
Yeah.
team runs the business. But but yeah, we have raised a lot of venture capital. That's a different story. But coming back to the original question, I think that frankly, if you think you have the right mindset, then you probably should start up. Is my feeling. In fact, I keep encouraging everyone. I have two sons. I have unsuccessfully tried so far to encourage them into get into startups on their own. But I do think that the risk and reward is loaded towards the entrepreneur if you have the right mindset. And that's exactly what you said, right? Manish, your wife loves the 9 to 5 job. There
Yeah.
are many people. My wife also works for a edtech startup now. She loves her 9 to 5 job. So I can never think of her starting up also.
Yep.
But that's okay. I mean, there's nothing wrong in it. It's just that, each one do whatever is right for them. I think for somebody like me, I've always felt that I would prefer to take a little more risk and try and hopefully get a little more reward. So if you think you have that attitude and if you think you have that perseverance, I also think perseverance is a very underrated quality in entrepreneurs.
Yep.
People talk about genius and many things, technology, and all sab theek hai. But end of the day, if you don't have the perseverance, I think you will not last the marathon. And every startup is a marathon. Don't
True.
think it's a 100-meter race.
Yeah.
You have to run as fast as you run 100 meters, but you have to run 42 kilometers. So
Yeah.
really, that's the kind of mindset that you need to come up with. If you are really building a brand, like for example, both of us are building something in the consumer space, I think minimum you need like 8 to 10 years to build something decent. Minimum.
Yep.
So I don't want any entrepreneur who's thinking about starting up to think that acha overnight kuch success hota hai. There is no overnight success. It's whatever happens after 10 years of hard work only. That overnight.
So the overnight success takes at least 10 years to become overnight.
So I think if they are ready for that, then I would say if you have the attitude, if you have the perseverance, if you're willing to devote that time, then why not? You should. So, and obviously, if you think you have a great idea, that's the fourth one. Why not? You should start up.
Yeah.
I would encourage everybody to start up.
Makes sense. We hear you.
No, I think just adding on to what Srikanth said, I think it's an individual choice. I've been part of startups, and I've been part of a larger organization, one of the largest in the country. I think there's things that you can do which are exciting in both places. It's I don't agree that it's only the startup which gives you the rush and the
Yeah.
the thrill of a kind of a roller coaster ride. You get as much of a ride. It's not always just a 9 to 5 in a large corporation
Yeah.
as well. Now since we have been part of Reliance, it's a little different, but in a lot of ways it's still a business. The core principles still remain the same. The hunger and the drive are still important. The perseverance and the resilience is still important. You have good and bad days still, though yes, there's a little security of being backed by a large strategic organization. But I think it's an individual choice. I think both have enough to offer to individuals as per their individual choice.
Yeah, I totally agree. In fact, I worked, almost 13 years in banks, and after 13 years, last 12 years in startup, and I feel that there is a lot of ups and downs, right? And what people forgets in startup is there will be down, right? And what happens during the down is it's become very difficult if you're not passionate about it. So I call it the itch problem, which is like, when you are in class 9, 10th, 11th, 12th, there is something called a mathematics problem, which you know that you are about to solve it, but you're not able to solve it, and that itch keeps you awake in the like 4 a.m., 5 a.m., and you're like thinking you're not able to sleep. If you don't have the itch, then don't start. Because when the down come, you will able to, yaar, what ye kya kar raha hu yaar, main kyun kar raha hu, right? A lot of these questions keeps on happening in mind. So I totally agree with both of your point in terms of, yes, if you have something, then start up, but life is even good in corporate, and corporate world is also does. I remember spending 56 hours continuously in office when I was in city. So yeah, why not? There's nothing called 9 to 5. So yeah, good perspective. So Srikanth, over to you. No, I always feel that this home interior segment is very fractured, and even though people promises a lot of things, the entire use case of maintaining the SLA is very very difficult, right? You have done it wonderfully. Live Space has done in the same space. I generally think that the North Star is Urban Clap, which literally did the SLA of something which you can't think of. How exactly you do that kind of a stuff in terms of how you maintain the SLA so that people will say that no, I'm not working with a contractor, but I'm working with HomeLane.
Sure. So there are actually 2 or 3 aspects to this. So let me just maybe circle back a little bit and then say why we started it all. First of all, what I saw was when I had when I was finished with my last startup and I was thinking of what to do next. One of the things that came up was home interior. I was already seeing companies like Urban Ladder, like Pepperfry, who were already selling sofas, cots, dining tables, and doing very well. And I thought, this market is already taken, so मुझे उधर तो घुसना ही नहीं है. But I was also saying, you know what? When anyone buys a house in India, you get only the warm shell, you get flooring, you get painting, और कुछ तो आता नहीं है.
Correct.
Right? So I said, who's solving that problem? I mean, that problem was still being solved by the unorganized market predominantly. While for the products, you had a solution like Urban Ladder and a Pepperfry. For the product plus services, as I call it, and the larger ticket size, there was no organized solution. So I said, why not attempt to do that? And said that we would do it. Now, okay, so how are you going to be different from the unorganized market? So one of the things that came up was predictability was supremely low when you deal with the unorganized market. Predictability तो आपको मालूम नहीं है कि आपको क्या क्वालिटी आ रहा है, आपको मालूम नहीं है कि कब आपका घर वापस आ रहा है, आपको ये भी मालूम नहीं है कि क्या बजट में खत्म होगा, because it's like it keeps growing as the project keeps growing also. So we said if we can solve for these things in terms of predictability, then there is really a business and a brand waiting to be built, and that's what we said we would focus on. From the beginning, we were very very clear. Ours is a very different business compared to the products business. In the products business, for example, first you make the product and then you do have inventory and then you sell.
Right.
But in ours, we don't have any inventory at all, because you only start making the product once the customer decides on the fabric color, on the cushion type, on everything else, and then only you start making it. So there's no question of you having inventory, because आप तो क्यों inventory रखोगे?
Right.
right? So that's really the way we started with. In terms of SOPs, what we have done is there are very three distinct phases to any interiors project in the world. One is the initial design phase. The second one is the manufacturing phase, and the third one is the installation phase. These are very, very, very distinct phases. In the design phase, what we have ensured is we use a lot of tech to make that journey a lot more transparent, a lot more visual for the consumer. So आपको देख के ही स्क्रीन को देख के ही मालूम पड़ेगा कि आपका घर कैसे दिखेगा once the kitchen is installed or once the bedroom is installed or whatever the wardrobes are installed, which was not there before. Obviously, with the unorganized market, you don't get. So one is distinctly in the design phase, make it a much more pleasurable experience. Now, what we threw along with that is also predictability. So we have a software platform called Spacecraft, where not only can you see visually, but you can also be able to see the price of what you're building. So it's like Lego blocks. You're building a kitchen. As you keep putting boxes one on top of the other, the price keeps changing. So you know very transparently कि क्यों price ज़्यादा हो रहा है या कम हो रहा है, for that matter.
Correct.
कम तो ज़्यादा होता नहीं है, ज़्यादा ही होता है, but still, right? So, but that is really what we built. So on the design phase, on the manufacturing phase is pretty much it's a solved problem. I think many people have done it really well, where you have large factories which have very, very efficient supply chain, which does the manufacturing, which we also do. So we have not done anything earth-shatteringly different there, to be very brutally honest. On the last one is where really the rubber hits the road, which is the installation phase, because that's where the customer interface happens. There, what we ensured to and did was we ensured that the same SOP was followed irrespective of which city. We are in 40 cities today. Irrespective of which city you buy a HomeLane product from or a Design Cafe product from, the SOP will be the same. And the same SOP will be followed by the installation team.
You train your team to make sure that they all are trained in the same SOP.
The way that we do this is we decentralize it. We want to make it efficient, but we also want to make sure that the SOPs are followed in a very rigid fashion. So what we do is we divide, let's say Bangalore is a large city. We divide Bangalore into few zones. And each zone is given to an installation partner. So we don't have to deal with hundreds of partners across like an urban company, for example.
Right.
We have fewer to deal with for the 40 cities because smaller cities के लिए एक city के लिए एक ही काफी installation partner काफी है. So we have, and we also give them bulk business, so they also obviously hear what we are saying. So these three phases we take care. One using technology, the second using, it's a solved problem. And the third one, we have very strict SOPs implemented with partners. Based on that whole journey is stitched together for our customers. So broadly, that's how we have attempted to solve this problem.
Understood. And Vivek, Urban Ladder, I don't remember any furniture brand before Urban Ladder. So for me, I was just speaking outside, right? I told you, I used to love Urban Ladder, right? How everything gets folded into. I still love that concept of how they fold a sofa into a box, and then they used to ship that. So the first thing I ordered from Urban Ladder is a sofa, and it came in a box. And my parents was there, and they're saying that some box has कुछ box आया है, पता नहीं उसमें क्या है. Am I saying, मम्मी sofa है? नहीं sofa कैसे हो सकता है? Box में कैसे sofa हो सकता है? And the guys like absolutely installed it and took every aspect, like एक polythene भी लेके उसके बाद वापस चले गए. I love that entire experience. And उससे पहले furniture brands was more like furniture wala, furniture shop, furniture, some all version of different furniture, Ramwala furniture, Agarwal furniture shop. So Urban Ladder for me was the first sort of brand. And going back to what Srikanth said, so you have sort of created that SOP, but the good part is you are still not customer facing. You did it at your centralized factory level, and then you move back to the customer. So before customer sees the product, you already seen the product and did the QC part of it, right? So just wanted to compare how things were in terms of.
So while I agree that a lot of our business is still inventory led, we build the product and then sell it to the consumer, unlike what Srikanth said. But there's a lot of consumer input that goes in designing and bringing these products to life. And the position that Urban Ladder took, unlike some of the other players in the market, was, one key consumer insight is buying furniture is not an easy experience. You
Yeah.
know, India में store sizes are not too large. एक sofa यहाँ पड़ा है, दो सोफे कहीं और हैं. And it's not even very organized where you can go to these three stores and find what you're looking for. Time and again, our consumer research has revealed कि एक सोफा खरीदने के लिए पता नहीं कितनी जगह जाना पड़ता है. So we decided, while furniture is a very long tail category by definition, we took a position that we'll make it easy for the consumer by curating a set of products, which is obviously driven by consumer input. Consumer centricity is the core of what we do. While there is not like, you know, हम पहले बनाते हैं फिर बेचते हैं, but consumer का input हमें पहले पता है कि क्या बनाना है. So we decided to have a fairly tight range, which would include things which would kind of sell in volume and things which really make a statement. And you need both in a portfolio of a brand. So that's the position we took. While we do have an inventory model in play, and there is working capital involved, but over the years, what we have been able to realize is if you do enough, you know, research upfront, listen to the consumers, listen to your store guys, then you can come up with an assortment which is highly curated and can appeal to the target segment that you're trying to reach out to. And the inventory, which can look like a burden for a lot of businesses, can become an asset. You know, if you have the right curation, the right product, and it's available in the right places, then to me today, inventory is an asset more than a burden. And the consumers love us for this. A lot of our consumers, we do see, you know, like yourself, you mentioned, in fact, I was talking to somebody yesterday, there's still a lot of product brand love. And that has come from the product with the quality that we have offered over the years, the store experience we have been able to give to the consumer. You go to a neighborhood carpenter shop, वहाँ पे आपको कोई experience नाम का चीज़ ही नहीं है. And then the delivery and the installation experience that you also spoke about. We have tried to kind of solve problems in each of these stages. The discovery phase, where our website and our, you know, shopping tools help the consumer visualize the product in their homes. The experiential part in our experience centers, and then finally the last mile delivery and the delivery and installation part. So when I look back and say, ki, could I have, you know, should it have been any different? Should we just do all make to order? We do have some part of our business which is made to order as well, which is very inventory light, especially in sofas like this. People would like to change the fabric, 3-seater chahiye, 2-seater chahiye, you know, different sizes, like heights, back heights, all of those configurations we have. So that has taken some part of the inventory out. But with the model today, you know, I think we are in a good place where our inventory turns are healthy. Even though we are operating in a very long tail category, we've been able to tame it in a way that we are able to address the needs of the consumer and looking at inventory as an asset more than a burden.
Nice. So shifting gears, so Urban Ladder is started as startup, now acquired by Reliance. So I'm assuming the culture of the company is still startup. Like now there is a big brother who comes and say, hey, you have to behave and work in a certain way, and this is my way of doing things, and your way of doing things will not work. And I always say that no matter how large or small the company comes, the culture of the company is always driven by promoters, right? So if Tata's, it's still JRD Tata's, like it has driven culture is still there in Tata's. So how are you, sort of your team is aligning to it, and how difficult or how easy it is to align on that front?
I think it's a interesting shift for sure. The way I look at it, it's we get a little bit of the best of both worlds. In a lot of ways, we are still an independent brand. We do enjoy the freedom that we still get being part of such a large conglomerate to make choices for the brand, which are right for the brand, product choices, go-to-market choices, supply chain choices. So even though we are part of a larger organization, doesn't mean that we are kind of directed or constrained in any way in terms of any key right decisions for the business. That being said, we also get to learn a lot from the size and scale that Reliance has built over the years. Reliance Retail, as you know, is the largest retailer in India, and not just by a small margin, by a large margin. We have 20,000 stores across the country. So there's a playbook that Reliance has created over the years. And as a startup, Urban Ladder was obviously made some mistakes along the way, but there's a lot of learning that has come to us, after becoming part of Reliance. There's some best practices, but then as with any
बट
change,
सर विक अभी जस्ट बैंगलोर में क्या होता है कि टेकीज 12 बजे से पहले तो ऑफिस आता नहीं है, राइट? चाहे आप कुछ भी कर लो, ये लाइक यार मैं तो रात
ट्रैफिक की वजह से
नहीं सर, वो बोलने का बात होता है कि ट्रैफिक की वजह से एक्चुअली रीजन तो है कि सोए रहते हैं 12 बजे से पहले, किसी की नींद नहीं खुलती है. नाउ इन अ रिलायंस काइंड ऑफ अ कल्चर आपको 9 बजे लॉग इन करना है. हाउ आर यू मैनेजिंग दैट?
So वो थोड़ा सा change है. I won't deny कि for folks who kind of transition from the pre-Reliance to post-Reliance, there are changes that have happened. Some people resisted it, some people embraced it. The way I see it is, कोई भी change होता है, थोड़ा सा तो change management लगेगा ही लगेगा. You change companies, there's a change in culture. You change cities, change houses, change countries. I moved from the US to India. शुरू में तो मुझे बहुत ही अजीब लगा था, but I think now everybody has gotten used to it. They do see the benefits that come as being part of a large conglomerate, and at the same time there are some policies, HR policies, administrative policies, which obviously we have to adhere to being part of a larger conglomerate. Net, if I have to look back, there's some give or take positives and negatives. But overall, for the business, we are in a, after being part of Reliance, we're in a much better place right now as a business, healthier, larger, stabler. So, if I reflect back, I think it's been a good transition, and it's going good so far.
And Srikanth, I think I've read somewhere that you want HomeLane to go IPO. क्यों sir?
Sometimes I ask myself,
you are a profit. You are now a profit making, right?
Yeah.
Profit making. Why? Like I met one of my friend who said कि यार analyst preparation के लिए मेरे को ज़्यादा time लग रहा है, इतना तो JEE preparation के लिए नहीं लगा मैं. Like यार हर every quarter I have to like stand in front of mirror to assume that analyst what questions analyst will ask and I have to answer them. So are you sure you are ready for that?
So frankly, we are not in any earth-shattering hurry to go and list. We have ambitions of going public. There's no doubt about it. I've spoken about it even earlier. We still do have, because I do think that the ultimate destination or a start of the journey is when you are in the public market, and when everything is everybody has a right to comment on everything that you do, which is okay. I mean, it's a very transparent way of running a business in a way, if you actually take a look at it, right? I mean, Reliance is listed for so many years. I mean, it's the darling of the of the BSE and the NSE. So for many years now. So there are some benefits obviously to it. Only thing is, you have to be ready for the long haul. We are very clear that is our default path, and that's the way that we want to go. But we are also clear that we want to do it at the right time. So we want to get to a stable, profitable, and growth state, and then only list. Because the one thing that we are seeing, and obviously all of us are seeing, is companies which are delivering predictability, again, like how HomeLane was started, predictability in terms of results, are being rewarded. And companies which are not delivering predictability are actually being dinged quite a bit. So we do not want to be in the latter category, hopefully, and we would try our best to be in the former category. Where
do you think maybe acquisition would be a better outcome than IPO?
So we did that. In fact, I actually wanted to answer the question that you asked, Vivek. I have a very simple rule, and if I may, in terms of, I've done about 5 acquisitions just at HomeLane. By the way, in my previous business, in the edtech business, I did 2 or 3 acquisitions. And if I may dare say so, most of them were successful in terms that the founders were in the lock-in for about 2 years typically, and they all on an average stayed at least for 4 years, which to me is the main benchmark of it being a success or not. कि यार मेरा lock-in हो गया, चलो यार भाई मैं निकलता हूँ, kind of thing didn't happen. And that will not happen unless it's voluntary, right? Because after 2 years कोई भी उसको hold नहीं कर सकता. Correct. So I have one simple rule. Okay, it's actually just a or far greater than brand. Because like for example, we have a Design Cafe brand which we acquired a year back. I'll give you an actual example. We are running HomeLane. We are competing brands. We still compete, by the way. We have very all intentions of running both the brands forever, right? But if it comes to a conflict situation where you need to choose, then you choose the org and not loyalty to your brand. It's actually is very simple rule. If there is a conflict at all, and there will be, there should be also actually. But if it comes to that, please look at rule number 1, as they say, which is org greater than brand. You cannot say HomeLane is more important or Design Cafe is more important. It's the org which is more important.
Correct.
And you follow that rule, you'll be fine.
Yep, makes sense.
Same thing I'm assuming for the Reliance, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not about UL or hundreds of companies that Reliance runs. It's the org. Org matters first. If org has a policy of 9 to 6 or whatever, too bad, man. That's what it is.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
No, that way it's quite simple. It becomes quite crystal clear, right? Black and white. There's no gray area. So, sorry, coming back, you were asking me about something which I forgot now.
Acquisition and IPO.
Yeah. So we clearly are looking at the acquisition route. We are looking to acquire companies. Like I said, in the HomeLane business, we have acquired about 5 companies in the last 11 years.
Right.
We are looking at more. We will consider strong companies which are adding to the bottom line, at least not taking away from the current profitability that we have managed to get to, and add to our top line in adjacent areas. So take furnishing, for example. We are not. We don't want to get into businesses where the supply chain is completely different. Like for example, the products business has got a reverse supply chain, as we call it, compared to what we do. So we are really we work with Urban. In fact, we buy products from them and sell. We work with Wakefield. We buy products from them. So we have partners whom we work with. We don't want to get into this one because we feel it's a very different business and they are very good at doing it. So we are very happy to work with them. In fact, we've been working with UL for quite a few years. I think maybe 7, 8 years at least now. And selling their products. So we prefer to do that in some areas. In some areas, we don't mind looking at acquisitions and we have been actively considering for quite some time now. We'll continue to consider. Right now, there's nothing on the table, but you never know.
Makes sense. So let's talk about competition. You mentioned Design Cafe was a competition. I think Live Space is like a better sort of a benchmark here in terms of, and there are a lot of new D2C brands are also keeps on coming in terms of and with Instagram and everything, it's becoming too much. There are a lot of designers who are now very Instagram heavy, keep on showing in Instagram, hey, this is the interior I have done and I can do interiors and designing and execution. How threatened you are feeling with the competition and what's your take on competition as such?
So if you actually see our business, it's mainly about personalization.
Right.
Okay. And if you actually see what HomeLane does, at least I don't want to talk about Live Space, we are actually counterintuitive. We do less personalization. But I have always believed that if you want to build for scale, you need to have a cookie cutter approach. You need to have a productization approach. Otherwise, you cannot scale. This business, if you see, it's bespoke. By nature, it's bespoke.
Right.
You want your own, mera wala blue hi chahiye mere.
Correct.
Oh, ye blue nahi chahiye. I don't know. I saw it in a friend's house. I don't want that blue. I mean, that's the thing that you may want to go with. So you will want to customize it to the nth degree, and that's what the designer needs to be capable of doing. So in a way, if you see, this is perfect for a architect or an interior designer, good interior designer, who can listen to you, understand your needs, and completely customize your house for you. I mean, this is really, so it suits a mom and pop business quite well. If you are a good listener, if you are a good architect, if you are a good interior, you can be successful, which is great because the depth of this market is immense. It's immense. It's a 30 billion sized market. I'm talking only interiors, only in India, right? So the more the merrier, according to me. And it is required because that's not a market that we serve. We don't serve a market which asks for significantly bespoke solutions because you cannot scale that. I'll give you a couple of examples. When I started this business, पहले 6 महीने में I was literally dumbstruck because we started getting orders worth 3 crores, 5 crores, 6 crores every month when I didn't expect it. I was expecting to do like slow and steady progress.
Right.
The reason was we were accepting anything and everything a customer wanted. One customer came and said, you know what, my son loves to play music. Can you make his cot in the shape of a piano? हमने एग्री कर दिया. हाँ भाई बिल्कुल करेंगे. एडवांस ले लिया उससे. ठीक है, वो पियानो तो नहीं बना या कॉट भी नहीं बना. That's a different matter. But the fact of the matter is that that's what the customer aspiration is for the bespokeness of the solution. You cannot scale that solution. Can you imagine making, handmade this one? So, three ground truths I decided. One, we won't do customization beyond a point. Two, we won't do certain things. Like we used to do flooring, we used to do civil, we used to do painting, we used to do everything basically.
Yeah.
We said no, we will only stick to modular furniture for now. We started with that. So we said we need to be clear on what we don't want to do. That was one point which I was super clear about. And then colors. Even in what we were doing, why should I offer 1,500 colors? You don't have to become Henry Ford and say, I can give you whatever color you want as long as it's black. But you can say, I can give you 50 colors. That's what we started with.
Right.
Whereas competition was giving 2,000 colors. I said, it's okay. If they want so much bespoke, if they want so much, let them go to a different player.
Right.
What we will be known for will be quick, efficient, and value for money. Very, very predictable turnaround time. If I need predictable turnaround time, I can only work with 50 colors. If I work with 5,000 colors, I will have less predictability, obviously.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So that was the thought process. So kind of came to what we now call a limited catalog. I in fact call it less is more. You make the catalog lesser so that you can serve more customers. Because I do believe that when the decision is between getting infinite choice but no predictability and finite choice with great predictability, Indian customers will choose this.
Right.
With its finite choice with great predictability.
Yep.
That's what kind of tilted it. That was actually a pivot for us about a year into the business. And from then on, we haven't looked back. Sorry, long answer.
Yeah,
But
no, makes sense. Vivek, same question. You have a lot of competition now, right? There is one end where you have Pepperfry of the world, which is a massive inventory-led model. Then there is another end, there is Stanley's of the world, which is a super high luxury kind of thing. And then there is a lot of people in between. And then there is your neighborhood furniture store who is always can do things, whatever they have been asked to. How you are managing your competition and what makes you like be awake in the night saying that, okay, competition kuch kar lega yaar, mujhe bhi kuch karna chahiye.
No, it's we say in our category ki the tailor is gone, but the carpenter is still around. We've all moved to branded apparel, but घर के काम कराने के लिए the carpenter is still very much around.
Absolutely.
So in our category, we still have a lot of unorganized play, a lot of carpenter play. Almost 70-80% of the 30 billion odd category is still unorganized. So adding on to what Srikanth was saying, there's enough and more for everybody to go after. You mentioned earlier that Urban Ladder was probably the first brand that registered in your brain like as a furniture brand.
Yes.
And there's only a handful right now. The good part about the space that we have taken, and we feel pretty good about the space we have taken because we've got the operating model right with that. We've got some of the brands like Stanley's who are really in the luxury part. We operate in what we call the mid-premium zone. We've got other brands which are selling on the Amazons and the Flipkarts, which are kind of value brands. What we stand for is design authority backed with great product and quality. And uske liye, in fact, I like what Srikanth, you said, giving too much variety is actually a very bad thing for the consumer. It gets too difficult to make a decision.
True.
It's a paradox of choice. Give choice, choice hi nahi kar pata. So we've kind of come to that, and some of our competitors have a different point of view on this. So the position that we have taken, and this is again based on some research that I recently which validated this thought as well. फर्नीचर बाइंग करने के लिए कहाँ ढूंढूं, कौन सा अच्छा है, कौन सा वैल्यू फॉर मनी है. डिस्कवरी इन दिस कैटेगरी इज वेरी डिफिकल्ट. एंड हुज टू से ये सोफा 30,000 का है या 50,000 का है या 1 लाख का है. यू गो टू अ बुटीक हियर इन इंदिरा नगर, दे विल चार्ज 1 lakh rupee for the same sofa that we might be selling for 50,000.
Absolutely.
So the price discovery, the product discovery is very, very difficult. So we took that position that we'll bring fair play in this category. We'll bring design, जो आपको बुटीक्स में मिलता है, वो वाला डिजाइन अथॉरिटी लाएंगे अपने कैटलॉग में with the fair price, which is really a problem that the consumer faces today. If you have to buy a new sofa and a dining table, you'll be choosing between going to some designer boutique जिसमें some product might be imported from China या कुछ एकदम unique सा बनाया होगा उसने, and then you don't know what you're paying for. So we have taken that, and the consumer has responded very well to that, thesis. We have seen time and again. I meet people, friends, family who show there's so much love for the brand, for the product that we have created over the last several years. So we feel we are still sitting in a very good position in the minds of the consumer. We have established Urban Ladder as a brand that holds that design authority and still is a nationwide brand available across omni-channel presence. So we tick a lot of boxes that are typically there in the minds of a working professional. And another interesting factoid is, if you were probably living in your hometown, let's say in Bihar, most likely your dad, chacha, everybody would know this is the furniture जो हमने पहले खरीदा था, carpenter. When you move to a new city, you don't know where to go. You want to rely on a brand that can give you a promise, that can deliver a product which you feel reflects you, who you are as a person. And that position, I think we have been able to capture very well. The urban folks, the working folks who are looking for, some kind of a fair price with a design that they can be proud of is where we operate. And in terms of price positioning, I think there's enough and more space between the luxury brands and the value brands. The middle space is pretty much a lot of room for growth there.
I agree. I know. I totally, agree with your less is more. In fact, yesterday my tech team asked, and we are a finance company, right? So my tech team asked that should we make something in tech that if you get money tomorrow, you have to pay X, but if you want today, you have to pay X plus Y. Say, boss, इतना choice मत दो. उसको पैसे चाहिए, पैसे दे दो. वो confuse हो जाएगा कि आज लूँ, कल लूँ. अगर परसों लूँगा तो क्या होगा और कम मिलेगा क्या? So I agree to your point, right? Sometimes choices are not good because choices just makes you confused as a consumer that what I needs to do in terms of it. So I will again switch gear, and Srikanth, you spoke about tech, using tech and all, and wants to address the elephant in the room, or rather it's an elephant in the entire world, is the AI. So how are you using AI, or are you using AI, or do you think AI is a bubble, we don't want to use it? What's your take?
No, so some of the areas that we work in has been clearly already been impacted by AI and will get even more impacted. Right. And I'll give you actually one or two examples. One of them is a funny one, real story, by the way. So when a customer comes to us first, what we ask for is their floor plan. And we tell them, अच्छा आपके floor plan के लिए हम आपको एक design बना के देंगे, हम आपको एक दिन दो, 2 दिन दो, पहले एक करते थे. अभी क्या हो गया? अभी आप फ्लोर प्लान दो और put it on agentic AI and you will get the design out in 90 seconds, right, or maybe even less. तो अभी क्या हो रहा है? Previously we used to say, अच्छा आप एक काम करो, आप हम डिजाइन कर रहे हैं ना आपके लिए, आप 5,000 देना हमको. अगर आप हमसे खरीदेंगे तो ये 5,000 एडजस्ट हो जाएगा. अगर नहीं खरीदेंगे तो डिजाइन आपका, 5,000 हमारा. So fair enough. That was what was to be. So now, when we can give the design instantaneously, literally, customers started saying, "अरे, ये तो आपने immediately दे दिया, मैं क्यों दूँ पैसा इसके लिए?" You know. So you know what we were thinking of doing? We said, "Okay, एक काम करते हैं, एक दिन के बाद देते हैं वही design को." But the consumer is like that, and I'll tell you an actual story. This is something that I heard. I mean, obviously, I don't know A.R. Rahman, the musician. But A.R. Rahman composed music for this movie called Tal. We've all heard, right? Yeah. Fantastic music. I'm sure we've all. Yeah. I love most of the songs in that. So the story goes that Subhash Ghai obviously was charged an arm and a leg because that time Rahman was at his peak, unlike now
Right.
where he's not at his peak maybe. So the story goes that he composed a very, very nice song. Um Subhash Ghai explained the situation to him and all that. 10 मिनट में रहमान जी वापस आ गए और बोले ये आप गाना लो. सुभाष Ghai felt cheated. He felt मैं आपको इतने पैसे दे रहा हूँ, आपने 10 मिनट में काम कैसे खत्म कर सकते हो? मैं ये रिजेक्ट कर रहा हूँ ये गाने को, मुझे सुनना ही नहीं है. Okay, that actually song became a super hit in Tamasha. Same song was used in Tamasha, not obviously, but Rahman only, but not Subhash Ghai. Actual song. I mean, I don't want to spoil your podcast by trying to sing it, but that song was actually used in Tamasha and it was a super hit again. The point I'm trying to make is that as Indians, we feel हमने पैसा दिया है, काम तो करो.
Correct. Correct.
I want you to, give me some effort.
Right.
Show me some effort.
Right.
So there are some, I don't know, mindsets that we need also as consumers to change. And I can tell you one thing. 1 year from now, I can predict this. The customer will want the design in 30 seconds, in 60 seconds. Will say, अरे यार तुम तो 2 मिनट वेट करा दिया मेरे को, वो तो 1 मिनट में दे रहा है.
Correct.
The same customer will say.
Correct.
Okay, but that is what we need to be ready for. I can't blame the customer for it because customer's mindset will change. It is dependent on what he's getting outside. Previously, none of us thought 10-minute delivery we want, यार.
Yeah.
अभी तो पता नहीं सब कुछ 10
It has
मिनट में
become
क्यों
a
चाहिए भाई 10 मिनट
habit
में?
forming now.
मगर चाहिए, हाँ. So that's really the thing. So we are also looking at various things like that and trying to use AI. For example, in design, it's significant.
True.
The impact. In installation, not so much.
Correct.
Yet. So we are not using it there. In predictability, in terms of what raw material we need to order, when we need to order, etc. for the factory, yes, very much. But those were all solved problems. This was not like AI has not come and changed the game, but definitely in design it has. Right. So the short answer to your question is, in some areas we are leaning a lot more on AI. In some areas we are not, because we don't have solutions that are earth-shattering yet.
Right. And Vivek, आपके पास तो choice नहीं है. Reliance has said that we are now a AI and tech company.
No. That being said, I think I personally look at the value that AI has started to deliver for us and will be delivering for us in the short term in a very positive way. Hamari, one of the main problems, when you go to a store in India especially, we have stores which are 5, 6, 10,000 square feet. Obviously, we cannot house the whole collection there. That's one. And two, a lot of times हमारा consumer family के साथ आया है, मेरे घर की दीवार इस कलर की है, मेरा कारपेट इस कलर का है, ये कलर जाएगा कि नहीं जाएगा. Our store guys are trained to help them. नहीं इसके साथ ये जाएगा and all of that. But everybody wants that to see that visualization.
Right.
And when they're shopping online, they want a more consultative approach, right? ये category ऐसे नहीं है कि सोनी का कोई प्रोडक्ट है और मैंने टीवी सीधा खरीद लिया सोनी ब्राविया. So we initially a few years back we took a stab at AR VR. You see it on Amazons as well, but वो adoption उसका उतना अच्छा नहीं हुआ. I don't know how many times do you use AR VR that Amazon पे दिखता है. It's kind of clunky, and for us we have that capability, but I don't think the usage is as good. But we feel and especially with generative AI coming in, जो online consultation through the AI की बंदा बोले कि I have a blue carpet at home and my walls are green in color, what do you recommend, or what sofa will go with this coffee table, what are the coffee tables that you would recommend with this, because everybody is trying to create a look. And that 30-second answer is going to be great for us, because that's what we struggle to visualize sometimes in the minds of the consumer. बता के बताना पड़ता है, वो 5 मिनट में हम दिखाएंगे उसको कि अपने घर की 4 फोटो खींचो एंड हम बताएंगे आपका घर ये कमरे में बस सिर्फ कॉफी टेबल आपको बदलनी है. हाउ विल दिस कॉफी टेबल लुक विद योर एग्जिस्टिंग सोफा, विद योर एग्जिस्टिंग furniture? I think it's a great problem that exists today, and AI will help us a great deal. So there's active work underway on that. I hope we are able to solve this problem in a meaningful way, unlike some of the previous attempts we have made, but fairly happy with how it's going.
I remember जब ऑलमोस्ट थर्ड फोर्थ ईयर इंजीनियरिंग में थे तो उस समय मोस्टली टेक की इन्फोसिस टीसीएस कंपनीज आती थी एंड मोस्ट ऑफ द गाइज यूज्ड टू से दैट कि यार कोडिंग नहीं हो पाएगी यार कुछ और कर लेंगे. कोई बैंक में गया, कोई फर्नीचर बना रहा है, कोई इंटीरियर्स कर रहा है. किसी को पता नहीं था कि लास्ट में सब टेक ही करेंगे. Good. So, maybe last final thoughts on you. What's your, what do you want to say to the young generation today who wants to, let's say, start up or anything? Like, what do you tell it to your son? Like, if 2 advices that you have to give to your son that, okay, this is my learning across last 35 years, and I want to give it to myself when I'm young. Which is now my son. So, what 2 advices that you want to give?
Sure. Two things. One, if you are looking for a problem to solve, identify a problem that's large enough. So that even if you solve a small part of that problem or you go deep and solve that problem, you will create a large business,
Absolutely.
which is what you will end up doing, hopefully. Second, you don't need to be Einstein and solve every problem in every business, right? One simple insight, but sticking to that insight for a long period of time will actually give you more dividend than trying 100 different things in a short period of time. For example, my insight for a HomeLane was that if I offer predictability with lesser choice, more customers will prefer that than infinite choice with zero predictability.
Yep.
That's all. That was the only insight. Simple insight. It feels logical, right? Now. But that time it didn't because everybody was offering infinite. So, but I said, no, we will go. That was the only, but I stuck to it. Now I can say after some 10 years after saying, we will do finite catalog, right? So I think perseverance has a lot of pluses. Have your insight and double down on insight as long as you are sure about it. I think these are the 2 things that I'll say.
So, if you have to go back, let's say, 10, 12 years back, would you have still started HomeLane?
Yeah, I would have.
No, nothing, no Q-commerce,
I mean, if
no
not
Zepto.
HomeLane, I would have started something else. I'm a generalist. I cannot design a house to save my life. Let me be clear. I have not bought, like my wife said when I started, said, you are starting an interior design business. आपने एक घर में एक सोफा भी नहीं खरीदा आज तक. मैं बोला यार मैं बाकी लोगों के लिए खरीद के दूंगा क्यों नहीं. So I can't, but I'm clear of what I don't know. Like I said, I don't know how to design. I'm not a designer. I am a business guy. So I want to look at consumer insight. I want to look at business. I want to look at commerce. I want to look at technology and see how we can marry all of that together, which will make something meaningful for the consumer. That's what I know how to do, which I think I know how to do. And that's what I will do given kuch bhi dhanda.
Makes sense. Vivek, same question.
Right now, in fact, I get asked that question. My son just started college this past year. And he was asking, क्या करूँ मैं? पहले computer science करते थे लोग, coding तो अब खत्म हो रही है. And so with the world, the way it's turning out to be, it's becoming very difficult to answer the question ki what will be relevant in the future. He's just started college and, we keep talking about it still ki what should he focus on? Should he do maths and computer science to kind of be in line with where the AI world is going, or should it be economics and finance? But it's a very difficult answer, like in terms of pure subject matter. First principles is what I go back to, आगे world will change very, very drastically. Elon Musk तो बोल रहा है कि पैसे रहेगा, in currency won't be there, right? So we don't know how the world will evolve. So I think for the young folks, as long as they can have that critical thinking and first principles approach, because the rules of yesterday may not be applicable in the new world. Creativity may not be as relevant in the new world. So, you just need to go back to first principles and have that learning agility, have that critical thinking, and play along as the world evolves, is what my recommendation would be to everyone. Don't kind of get too fixed on yahi mujhe karna hai, because 10 years down the line, that might not be relevant anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. I keep on saying the age of knowledge is shrinking so much that maybe 10 years back we used to say 3 years is the age of knowledge. Now it's like 6 months. You don't even know what will going to be there and not going to be there. Last question: golf or cricket?
Oof. Being an Indian cricket se to hatna, it's very difficult. But I got into golf, started playing almost when a little before I started Callaway. I started with Callaway in the US. लगता बड़ा slow सा sport है, but I don't know if you guys are golfers, but
No,
it's
I'm
one of
not.
the most addictive sports you ever play. And it's very unique in a lot of ways. You play against yourself, you keep your own scores. एक अच्छी shot के बाद बिल्कुल बेकार shot आती है. Great leveler of sorts, right? Over the years I've played and I've really, and the good part is the longevity. I can probably play till I live, as well. Cricket is, cricket में दिल है and golf is hobby, I would say. Both. I can't choose between the two.
I would correct
ये
you. Maybe
दो बच्चों के बीच में choice मांग लिया आपने.
maybe cricket में दिल है लेकिन उम्र जो है वो गोल की
उम्र
तरफ
golf की है maybe, yeah. So that's a good way to put it.
Sir, tennis or cricket?
To watch, I think it would be a tie. To play, surely tennis. अभी cricket तो हिम्मत नहीं है खेलने का. But I play tennis every day even now. I don't unfortunately I haven't started golf even though I got memberships, but I've gone there only twice for dinner till now. I haven't had the time because I think dedicating like half a day is really difficult at this point in time. But yeah, hopefully someday I'll start. I've heard I have a lot of friends who are like golf addicts.
Yeah, my brother is a golf addict now.
So I know it's a very active game. I've heard all of this. You play against yourself and it's a mind game and ये वो all that. तो अच्छा लगता है खेलना. I feel like I should play. Just don't. Once I'm in it, I'm a 1-0 guy. So once I'm in it, then I'll probably spend a lot of time. So right now I'm happy with tennis. I am now recently started paddle also.
Oh,
I love paddle actually. It's quite nice. I think a little bit more on the longevity side. I think I can play for another 10-15 years if I change to paddle.
So Djokovic or Alcaraz?
Arey, Alcaraz. No question. I was rooting for him on Sunday. I'm glad he won.
Good. So thanks, gentlemen. Thanks a lot for taking time and discussing it. I really enjoyed it. I don't know about how you guys enjoyed it or not, but I learned a lot. And thanks a lot for coming to our podcast. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Really enjoyed the time. Thank you.
Thank you.